Are there too many minigames in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Are the minigames too tedious? Could they have spent their time doing something better in the game? All these questions we're going to dive into today because I made a video talking about the Platinum Trophy, and in the comments section it was flooded with complaints about the minigames being all those questions that we've just asked, and I've seen it all over social media as well, so I'm hoping we can just dive in and have a bit of a discussion. But for those that want my nutshell opinion on minigames in games, they are at their best simply when they are optional, and if you do siphon it into your story or your progression, allow us to win or lose, or even better, just skip over it. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got you covered with timestamps down below, so if you want to skip to a certain section, because we're going to be breaking down some of the mini games in this video, feel free to do so, whatever floats your boat. All I ask is for you to support the channel and hit the thumbs up button. So let's dive straight in, and we're just going to go over minigame over minigame. These are going to be in no particular order, and I'm not going to include the minigames. I don't even know if they're considered minigames, but you know, like for example, when you're on the buggy and you're shooting out the back, or when you're making your way to Corel and you're going down the minecart. I think those will just kind of keep out of it. We'll talk about the main bulk of minigames that Rebirth has to offer. And we're going to start off with Chocobo Racing. Why not? And you know, I really like Chocobo Racing. There's quite a plethora of there. The courses do get indeed frustrating, especially with those cactuar doors that close and open, and you think you've timed it right and you're heading towards it, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then boom, 1,000 needles in your face. But ultimately, I think if you collected all the cosmetics and you have all the chocobos, you can customize that experience quite easily. I like Chocobo Racing. It's a lot better than Chocobo GP, but I'll leave that for you guys to discuss. Moving on, let's talk about the piano minigame. A lot of people are excited about this when we've seen it. The fact that we could play the piano in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth gave us a bit of nostalgia of doing all the little secrets here and there to get the limit breaks and ultimate weapons and everything else in between. But when it came to the demo and playing Tifa's theme, people who decided to make videos on that got copyright striked, so they probably didn't like the minigame straight off the bat with that one. But when it comes to the minigame, a lot of people found it quite finicky, trying to use the analog sticks to do the deed. Now, I thought it might have been better to kind of keep it like the original, like combining R1, L1 and doing directionals and face buttons, but they went with the analog approach, and I guess to a certain degree it works. I mean, my best advice if you're trying to get A's at least on that piano minigame is just to turn the sound off and look at the bars instead of trying to memorize the music, because the amount of times I did that and I was out of sync was absolute craziness. But as soon as I muted the audio and just looked at the lines, it was pretty easy. But I can assure you that we'll probably see people playing through the fire and flames in no time, and there'll be some experts out there. I wasn't the greatest piano player, but turning that volume off got me through it quite easily. Let's talk about a returning minigame that we got introduced to in Intermission, Fort Condor. Now, this is quite divisive. I've seen some people like it, most people hate it. I was all right with it. I mean, the way I tackled the hard modes is if you turn your difficulty down to easy, it makes it slightly easier on the hard mode, and that's how I got through it. But I think the problem I have is probably the same problem that a lot of people have, is the customization. You only have a set amount of loadouts, so you really can't customize to the situation. You need to use what the game is providing with you. I do like the additions of the leaders like Barret, Cloud, and Tifa. I would have liked more customization. I know that they kept the collection aspect for a certain minigame that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but I think it was lacking for the formula of Fort Condor. Let's return to the Chocobo minigames, and we had like the Hustle de Chocobo in the grasslands, and then we had the one in Nibelheim where we did the shooting of water. But the one in particular I want to talk about in this video is Glide de Chocobo. Quite frustrating, I'm sure a lot of people agree, especially trying to figure out how to actually descend and ascend quite effectively. I mean, the game teaches you how to do that, but you don't need to use it across the Cosmo Canyon region that much, so I don't see the point of it, except it being a little bit frustrating to try and get all of the score gates. But yeah, it's quite the frustrating minigame in Rebirth. Gears and Gambits. Now, I like the nod to Final Fantasy XII and its revolutionary Gambit system, but the Gambit system in here does not hit as Final Fantasy XII once did. Now, this minigame to me feels very, very random. There is like a kind of go-to loadout for the robots that you shouldn't have too much issues with, but when it came to the last one on hard mode, I was literally just hoping for a lucky break, and a lucky break I got. Now, I do want to knock out some Gold Saucer minigames right now, so let's start on the one that we get introduced to, which is 3D Brawler. Now, this is my example I used, I think, because it's gated into the story. You get introduced to it straight away, but I'm not sure if you can lose it and then still carry on through the story, because I managed to overcome it. So you'll have to let me know in the comment section below. If you have to win it, then again, that falls into the category of, man, I think that really sucks. But if you can lose, then it's fine, or if you can skip it, that's even better. But 3D Brawler, harkening on to the Brawler game in the original, this is alright. Like, the first couple of stages are very easy, the tells are very easy, but as you get to the more difficult ones, and they use all the directions, and their middle attack looks like their high attack, but their low attack looks different, you kind of get confidence, and then they have that burst of window with loads of attacks. It can be frustrating, but if you can learn the tells, then you will have success in this minigame. But if you absolutely suck, you can pause the minigame at any time, pause it as they're pulling the punch, see what direction that you're going to use, and then boom, you've got it sorted quite easily. I had a good time with it. I just struggled with, I think it was Ifrit, and of course Sephiroth's tells between his middle and his high attacks. Pretty frustrating, but using that pause method, you shouldn't have that much of a problem. Galactic Saviors, a new minigame, and to be fair, I think this is a lot better than what the Speed Square offered in the OG. It was nice to have a new lease and life in this section of the Gold Saucer, and this game in particular was fun. It was a fun minigame, no complaints, very easy to play. The harder mode was pretty easy to play as well, and I think that overall we should get a thumbs up from a lot of people because it's quite a nice addition to the minigame roster. And the last one is the iconic G-Bike. Now, I think I was a little bit underwhelmed by the G-Bike. It was very easy to play. I did like the variation of like going up on the sides and really being satisfied doing the spinning slash when there's a lot of Shinra grunts trying to tackle you down. But apart from that, I think this is probably one of the few minigames where I would have liked an even harder mode, or maybe a bit of a variation like a crazy mode. Crazy motorcycle! You see where I'm going with this? But it was alright, it was easy to play, and it gave you that nostalgia of the original G-Bike from the OG. Let's take a trip to Costa del Sol, because Costa del Sol offered us some brand new minigames, and let's talk about Run Wild, the football game or the soccer game involving Red 13. I really like this. I like the challenge mode where you have to do the colored goals one after the other, and then I think there's the harder mode where like the posts, and you have to do a variation of the shots. I enjoyed this. I thought this fit quite nicely, and it was fun and not frustrating whatsoever. The other game that Costa del Sol offered us was Pirate Rampage, a very simple kind of shooting the boards. My tip for this is make sure you're actually hitting the targets, because there is an accuracy bonus, especially in the harder version, and then there are a few things that always turn around gold. I think they may have been purple, I can't remember off the top of my head, but just wait for them to turn, hit them while they're gold, more points, and you're going to become a winner quite easily. I can't believe how many there are going through the list of these minigames, but we're going to talk about Crunch Off. That is right. We have another minigame that involves button combinations, them fading away and doing something very silly, going against someone that is pretty insane. That someone being Jules. Man, the sit-up minigame, I think I got this on my 4th go. The only advice I have is keep trying, man. You just gotta keep going for it, and I'm sure you'll get it eventually. I think with the triggers and the haptics, your fingers can get quite tired quite fast because of just the pressure on it. There's a little bit different. Sometimes you need to bash and sometimes you need to do a slow press and let go, I think, but it's back. And yeah, let's go for it. Let's go to Junon, and Junon offered us the iconic Parade. And this was very akin to what we got from the Honey Bee Inn. If you collect all the squadrons as you're kind of progressing through that section, you have a bit more customization. You can make it a little bit more difficult for yourselves, or you can make it very easy for yourself. Not much to say about this one, but it's very grandiose. Really like the presentation. Sometimes those button prompts are very hidden or they're very sporadic and you're like, ah. But the addition to rapid pressing and holding, I enjoyed the Junon Parade very much. But then we go to Under Junon for the most unique minigame, the most strange side quest we come across, and we get to play Jump Frog. Now, we turn into a frog, and essentially, this is Fall Guys, but I guess we could dub it Frog Guys. I think a lot of people did dub it Frog Guys. This just takes a little bit of patience. Very fun, and I like the music. The frog music is very, very cool, and I got no complaints. Like, this is just one of those that you don't have to do at all. You can completely miss it and still get your Final Fantasy VII Rebirth experience, but if you want a bit of fun, Frog Jump is the one for you. Heading over to Corel now, and we're going to start off in the desert prison of the Dust Bowl, and that is Desert Rush, kind of an improved version of what we got, like the box related minigame we got in Remake, and Yuffie had one as well. Very frustrating one that one would be, especially ones that want the trophy for the one in Intermission. But this one was pretty fun. It was improved upon. I liked the addition of the boxes that needed charges to then be done. It kind of created a nice route for you to go. And it was just very adrenaline filled. I like the mini games that had like that prelude theme remix, I think. It really got me going and got me the high score pretty easily. Now going out to the Corel region, and we reached probably the most frustrating one that I came across when it's coming to completion, because obviously I'm gunning for that platinum trophy, so I'm choosing to do these mini games, and that is the Cactuar Crush. We have the ability to use either Yuffie or Aerith. Well, when I say that, we don't have the choice. We have 2 Aerith stages and 2 Yuffie stages. The harder stages are a lot harder. I think the Yuffie ones are quite easily done, just switching between like using your ninjutsu and using your physical attacks, depending on what the Cactuars are. But Aerith's a little bit more frustrating, especially on her final hard round, because you have the combination of the light, the dark, and the physical, and the magical. And I got through it. It didn't take me too long. I think I used a lot of Sorcerer's Storms. I used a lot of Soul Drains, which is really good on the giant Cactuars. But man, when I didn't really know how to tackle it at first, even during the normal version when I was doing the Proto Relic quest line, I had no idea what I was doing. I was wondering why I was walking away with 100 points, but now I got that high score. It's all right. Very frustrating though. Very, very frustrating. Now there was one in particular I missed from the Junon region, and that's the Dolphin Show. It's kind of mandatory to use to get to Upper Junon, and I didn't really have much trouble with it. I think I thought I had to press and hold a button to kind of use acceleration, but it was automatic. So I was wondering why Mr. Dolphin here was going so damn slow. But I realized I was holding the trigger was brake. But for some mini games, it's to go. Processing all that, not too bad. But then you have the option to go back and do another course. I thought this was a lot of fun. No complaints from me for that one. 2 more left, and the one we're going to talk about is Moogle Mischief. There are Moogle houses all over the world map. Quite a fun game. It's nice to hear the Mog theme once again here in Final Fantasy VII, but when it comes to the minigame, it was alright when it worked, and when it was the later stages, really frustrating having tornadoes thrown at you, banana peels you're slipping over, balls being thrown at you, but it was alright. I don't think the payoff was good. good. I think just unlocking a few things in the Moogle Emporium, you know, it is what it is. So we're going to finish off with the best minigame, which I'm sure you will all agree, and that is Queen's Blood. But before we dive into Queen's Blood, there is obviously a section of the game when you're on the Shinra 8 and there is a tournament. The fact that this tournament is mandatory is going to frustrate people that are not really getting on with Queen's Blood or have not paid it too much attention. I have no idea if this is skippable or you really do have to win like 3 rounds. I know that you don't have to win the one with red, but I didn't know if it was mandatory or not. It looks like it was mandatory, and again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're making your mini games, don't make them mandatory to the story. But I'm hoping that everyone kind of got into Queen's Blood. But that's the only thing I need to say when it comes to that. When it comes to the mini game itself, this is incredible. I think this has peaked Triple Triad for me. I think the variations is really good. The only complaint I have is that I couldn't really go back and get new kind of playstyles off NPCs after I completed the game and I did all the Queen's Blood stuff and I got all the cards. I do wish it had that kind of FF8 trait of just talking to anyone, like, the world is ending, but do you want to play cards? I'm hoping that they can improve upon, hoping that they do take it to the 3rd game and improve upon it. I don't like the fact that we have like the NPCs to play and they're marked on the map. It's okay to have that, but I'm really hoping that there's just random NPCs that we can interact with, pressing the square button, I'll use as an example, and we can play cards, and they may carry a card that isn't available from a shop or won from an opponent, and I would love to kind of have a bit more variation when it comes to playing more players, because I want to play more Queen's Blood, but I've done everything I need to do in Rebirth, so I don't have the desire to do any more. But if there was available NPCs with hidden cards and maybe you don't get them until they play them kind of thing, I do kind of like that and I would like to see it. But when it comes to the game in general, I really like the way it kind of eases you into it. Very basic cards, and then you get cards that eliminate cards that power other cards, and then you get cards that destroy opposing cards and everything else in between. It is a pretty glorious mini game, a very good card game. Can't wait to see if they do more variations on this. It would be nice if they added some more cards as a DLC pack, maybe add some more players. Just saying, just putting it out there. I would like that. But again, I think I would like the FF8-ness of it, of just the randomness of going up to anyone, still having that kind of like rank up course of ranking all the way up and doing like a storyline, but more randomness to it, so I can really be like, I am good at Queen's Blood, but I don't know if I feel like I am good at Queen's Blood. I can play it and I win pretty much all the time, but I don't think I've mastered it to the ability that I would like to, and I think that would add to that. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm hoping it comes across well. I'm hoping you agree with me. But Queen's Blood is great. I just want more. I just want more Queen's Blood. So that is everything when it comes to mini games of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I may have missed some. If I have, let me know in the comment section below. I'm sure you may have a lot to complain about or to compliment. Let me know in the comment section below. But I'm hoping it was a nice discussion going through the games, giving some little tips here and there, and I guess we didn't really talk about if they're necessary or not. There's a bloody lot, but if they're optional, I don't think it should be a complaint in my books. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. If you like my content and want to see more, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're notified of that content. Get involved in the comment section below, and until next time, catch you on the flip side.